Right then guys, it's PSL here, and I'm here for the third episode in my Force India career mode on F1 2017. And currently we're under the sunny Bahraini skies at the Sakhir International Circuit for the Bahrain Grand Prix. And as you can see, Max Verstappen, a driver who well and truly trounced us at the Chinese Grand Prix, and even Daniel Ricciardo, who qualified behind me but yet still beat me come the end. Williams, there was Felipe Massa of course, who... he was the best of the rest, wasn't he, come the end? I mean, he was behind the Mercedes, Ferrari, and both Red Bulls come the end, finished in 6th place, just about beat me, but then again you had Lance Stroll who had a puncture, tyre issues, a general lack of pace. In fact, it will be interesting to see if Lance Stroll is actually comparable on pace to his teammate, because at both the Australian and Chinese Grand Prix, Lance Stroll has been noticeably slower than Felipe Massa. Anyway, here we are in practice, of course, doing the race strategy program at the moment. And look at the engine. There's a lot of worn components, and I mean, you may remember that the only upgrade I've actually fitted to the car yet is the general durability reduction upgrade. It reduces the wear on all the parts by a certain percentage, 5-10%. It will say, I mean, it says on screen. And in fact, I got a trophy actually, because that was the first time all game I've actually swapped out engine parts. I didn't swap out all of the parts, but just most of them, because Bahrain is a power circuit, and certainly we do need as much horsepower as we can get around this track. As you can see, a lot of teams have improved, but honestly, there's no real change. Ferrari have just overtaken Mercedes. Renault closed up to us, but that's really it, to be honest. There's not really been anything too interesting in this early stages of car development. Then you got Lewis Hamilton, a man who won the previous Grand Prix. He's had one race win and one retirement this season. So, you know, it's been a very mixed bag for him. Sebastian Vettel's had a very mixed season so far, and so has Valtteri Bottas. I mean, Kimi Raikkonen, he's leading the Drivers' Championship, and it's no real surprise, considering he's been the only really consistently quick driver, first and second, those finishes this season so far. Currently in qualifying, I'm right up behind Lance Stroll. It's an okay lap. Fernando Alonso, of course, he hasn't got the pace here, but this is something I'll be saying a lot. But this track just isn't suited to his car, which is a feeble excuse, because what tracks really are? Monaco, Singapore, it's about it, to be honest. I mean, just generally, the McLaren car isn't that quick. Neither is a Sauber. And Julian Palmer, who's currently in the drop zone for Q1 at the moment, he was in the same position for the Chinese Grand Prix, but he's still got 40 odd seconds left to go, and in fact he's just set a lap time, which has it's put him up into 15th place, and that's put me in the drop zone. And with, I mean, there's only a few seconds left to react. I can't possibly go out in time, and in fact, not only did Palmer beat me, but Alonso also did. So that means I've qualified down in 17th place. Well, there you go. Anyway, here's a summary of Q2. You got Toro Rosso, Danny Kvyat qualified in 15th, and Carlos Sainz did a bit better in 12th place. So Toro Rosso doing a bit better this Grand Prix. Renault, the Julian Palmer, who qualified in 14th come the end. Nico Hülkenberg just about missed out on Q3 in 11th, and then my teammate Sergio Perez was also knocked out in Q2. He finished in 13th place. So he's a good 4 places ahead of me on the grid. He was 3 places ahead of me at the Chinese Grand Prix. So Perez, certainly the quicker Force India driver in qualifying. And here we go, it's Hamilton and Vettel, the two main Drivers' Championship contenders in real life. They've taken up the front row. There's Raikkonen 3rd, Ricciardo 4th, as Bottas is down in 5th. Massa, I mean, both Williams again have excelled in qualifying. They're ahead of Max Verstappen. Grosjean's in 9th, and Kevin Magnussen is in 10th. Williams, or certainly Lance Stroll, he may not have the pace in the race, but he certainly has qualifying pace. Still slower than Massa, but, well, anyway, I mean, to be honest, this track does suit the Williams car. Also, you may notice, look, I've got to put in 31.2 laps of fuel. That's the minimum I can put in. So much like at the Chinese Grand Prix, I'm being forced to overfuel the car. But anyway, the formation lap is underway. Lewis Hamilton already opening up quite a sizable gap on Sebastian Vettel in 2nd. And, I mean, this is a track we have really got to capitalise on, because we're going to start heading towards the tracks soon, which really aren't going to be playing to our strengths. Catalonia to a certain extent. Monaco is only the 6th race of the season. That's coming up very soon. I'm hoping to use the worn engine components I took out for that Grand Prix. But anyway, the 2017 Bahrain Grand Prix is underway. We've still got Lewis Hamilton at the front, but Sebastian Vettel has got off to a much better start. And it looks like that Sebastian Vettel might well, in fact he has, Sebastian Vettel has taken the lead of the 2017 Bahrain Grand Prix. Meanwhile, I am in the middle of nowhere. There's a Red Bull off to the right hand side. Daiki just up ahead. Yellow flags are out. There's a couple of cars spinning off there. Yellow flags, I've made a few overtakes there. An illegal overtake only on Grosjean. There's a Red Bull off to the right hand side there. Okay, well I had to let Grosjean through. Grosjean just about been able to slip through between myself and the Red Bull, I believe, of Daniel Ricciardo. Anyway, we've already got a retiree. We're already down to 19 runners. I'm up into 9th place. How lucky can I get? But I'm pretty sure most of those overtakes I did then were legal. In fact, I'm going to get past Romain Grosjean. Grosjean not even attempting to defend the overtake. Well, there you go. It's almost like he knows that the Force India is just quicker. But I mean, the Haas car has bought upgrades. It's a quicker car than it was at China. In fact, I was pushed out by Romain Grosjean. Now I've got to contend with Carlos Sainz. Side by side Carlos Sainz, but thankfully I've got the slipstream on Romain Grosjean. Got the engine power. And there you go, I've been able to pull out away from Carlos Sainz, still in 9th place. So let's have a look. Felipe Massa, he's side by side with a Red Bull there, and he spun out. Simply, that's what happened. So Felipe Massa spun out there, and that's put him right towards the back of the field. And it looks like that Massa was in between. Well, Lance Stroll was to his left, and there's a Red Bull to his right-hand side. I believe it's Ricciardo. And in fact, oh, Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll tagged around his teammate. And that was all caused by Lance Stroll. He just tagged his teammate ever so slightly. Massa got a bit out of shape and he's gone. So Massa, yeah, completely out of sorts. And yep, just out of the... Well, he's not out of the Grand Prix, he's still running. And technically with everyone being held up, he's probably not too far behind. But, oh! There's a massive collision there. Right, okay, so that was a massive collision with the Red Bull that has spun out. And there's a McLaren in the background that's also stopped. Right, okay, so it was Daniel Ricciardo who was ahead. So it was Max Verstappen who was to the right-hand side of Massa. Ricciardo had his own separate incident with Valtteri Bottas. Ricciardo reversing onto the racetrack when there's people moving. And he's found some clear space, or at least so he thought. And he's taken out Massa and Van Dorn. Massa is still left running, but Van Dorn, he's out of the Grand Prix. So that's the person who's gone, Stoffel Van Dorn. And there you go, Ricciardo, no idea what he's doing. Just reversing around the track. So let's have a look on board. So, Ricciardo was with Bottas, Verstappen was with both Williams, and spun around. I honestly don't think Bottas spun him around. I think, if anything, Bottas almost stopped the spin, but it was the counterweight, the rear end, fishtailed him round. And here we are on board with Stoffel Van Dorn, and... I mean, he stopped. He didn't make any overtakes, unlike me. I mean, apparently only one of my overtakes was illegal. He should have been able to have swerved out of that, Van Dorn. He should have been able to have seen that coming, but at the same time, Ricciardo reversed onto a racetrack. That's dangerous. That's surely a black flag, surely. Anyway, I mean, Ricciardo's still in the race.
Okay, some information on Magnussen. They're slowing down. It seems like there's some kind of problem with their car.
Well, thank you, Jeff, for that brilliant news. Kevin Magnussen, who's just up ahead, has got an issue with his car. Slowing down, and, well, I mean, it's a bit of a hindrance if I'm stuck up behind Magnussen, because there is someone up ahead who is pulling away. But if I can get past Kevin Magnussen quite easily, I've already got past Grosjean, because Magnussen was holding up Grosjean, and Magnussen locked up under braking, and there you go. I've been able to get past both Haas drivers in a matter of corners. So I'm up into 7th place, and once again I'm competing for 6th. Best of the rest. Here we go, we've got Felipe Massa coming into the pits. Of course, he's got no front wing. So, I mean, he's lucky to still be in the race, because of course Van Dorn isn't. So let's have a look. In fact, hang on, what is pit crew doing? No, they leant in and leant out, and that's, do you know why? That's because Felipe Massa had a stop-go penalty. The race stewards deemed the crash between Massa and Ricciardo to be Massa's fault. But Ricciardo reversed onto a racetrack. I mean, who knows? But I just love how the Williams pit crew leant in, leant back out, and then leant in again. I thought that was quite funny, but anyway, Hamilton, a shocking start. Really bad start. We saw here that he lost first place to Vettel. Vettel's already opened up a sizable gap, 2-3 second gap. And Kimi Raikkonen, he's got DRS. In fact, has he got DRS? I believe so. I think we're at that stage of the Grand Prix. He's going to be able to stream past Lewis Hamilton. Well, actually, I say stream past. It's not quite as comfortable as we would have imagined, but Hamilton, he's already fallen outside of DRS range on Sebastian Vettel. It's a Ferrari 1-2, and this track just seems to suit the Ferraris. Maybe it's because of the track temperature. That certainly seems to be the case, because in straight line performance, we know Mercedes, well, they lead the way when it comes to straight line performance. Kevin Magnussen, we know he's still got a car issue. Grosjean, it took him a little while to get past, but Romain Grosjean, coming round the final corner, Grosjean has passed Magnussen. But look at the train Magnussen is forming. In fact, there's a Toro Rosso car trying to get past now, that's Carlos Sainz. But I think at the tail end of the train is the other Toro Rosso, or maybe it's a Sauber. Honestly, maybe it's a Sauber, but Magnussen is really going slowly at this point. And there you go, Carlos Sainz has breezed by. So now Magnussen, well, in fact it's Perez, and oh, this really isn't good, because sure, Massa's down at the back of the field, he had a stop-go penalty, but Lance Stroll's in 6th, I'm in 7th, and Perez isn't in the points at the moment. So this is important for the Constructors' Championship battle. We've got an 18-year-old and a 19-year-old dicing for position. In fact, there's been a collision. Lance Stroll just turned in on me there. Well, I mean, that is a tricky corner. That is a very, very brutal left-hander. I've got front wing damage, not massive. Let's have a look at this. So Lance Stroll just going very slowly. I mean, I nearly rear-ended him there. Lance Stroll, this is the 3rd Grand Prix in a row now where his pace has been subpar. And I try and go down the inside, left him lots of space, but Lance Stroll just tried to turn in. I mean, I can understand why Lance Stroll did. He left plenty of space for me to go down the inside of. At some point, you've got to turn left. And certainly a racing incident. I don't think there's any intention. I don't think there's any malicious intention there from Lance Stroll. There certainly wasn't from myself. I was trying to pass him. Romain Grosjean passed Lance Stroll. I mean, really, the story of the first half of the race was I got past Grosjean. In fact, I got past a lot of people because apparently I didn't illegally overtake him under yellow flags. Then I passed Grosjean. Then Grosjean was held up by Magnussen. Then he was held up by Stroll. Basically, I was just waiting for Grosjean to get into clean air and catch up. And Danny Kvyat has retired from the Grand Prix. And Carlos Sainz retired from the previous Grand Prix. So Toro Rosso, they do need to investigate their reliability, because it's just costing them good finishes at this point. It's just embarrassing more than anything else. Anyway, coming into the pits on lap 8, I believe one of the longest to stay out on these super soft tyres. And, well, I mean, Hamilton's breezed by in the medium tyres, so is Valtteri Bottas. And fitting on the soft tyres, Julian Palmer is the guy directly behind. I think he's coming to the pits, or has he? Honestly, I don't know. Honestly, we don't have to worry about Palmer. No, I think Palmer's just gone past the pit lane. So has Pascal Wehrlein. So is Fernando Alonso. But in fact, there is, in the background, there's Romain Grosjean. So Grosjean has closed up significantly in the pit stop stage. I mean, last time we saw Grosjean, he was just getting past Lance Stroll. He couldn't even see me. But yet, he got the undercut. He pitted in a couple of laps earlier, and suddenly he's right behind me. And not only that, I've now got traffic to contend with. The good thing is it's given me DRS to be able to defend from Romain Grosjean. The bad news is it means that I've got to pass Fernando Alonso. And Alonso, that was very courteous and very... I mean, he didn't have to leave that much room, but he did. And Nico Hülkenberg, a guy who really, all series... I mean, bearing in mind, we're only on the 3rd race, but all series he's done nothing particularly interesting. He's had a crash with Ricciardo at the Australian Grand Prix, and now he's got to puncture this Grand Prix. And Hülkenberg, he was vaguely in contention for some points. He was, I think, with Sergio Perez stuck up behind Kevin Magnussen, competing for the last points place. Yeah, I mean, honestly, most of this race, most of the excitement revolved around Grosjean, because suddenly, Grosjean, he was quicker than me, but then he got the undercut, and suddenly, he wasn't quicker than me. In fact, it was Carlos Sainz. Now, let's not forget Carlos Sainz, he's on the super soft tyres. Grosjean and myself were on the soft tyres. In fact, there's Sergio Perez, who's also been able to clear the traffic of Kevin Magnussen. There's also a Red Bull there. What on earth is going on? Grosjean is now leading a train. I'm not too far up ahead, and Grosjean could be my best friend at this point, but it looks like Carlos Sainz, he's got the position done, and Carlos Sainz is now the guy directly behind me. And sure, I've got track position, and sure, I've got the engine, the performance in the engine. However, Carlos Sainz, the Toro Rosso is quite a quick car. It's been upgraded since we last raced against it, and he's got the tyre advantage. And anyway, here we are, Sebastian Vettel comfortably leading the Grand Prix. Hamilton's nowhere. Bottas didn't even qualify near to Vettel. And Vettel is pulling off to the side of the track. No, don't tell me. This is the second race in a row that Sebastian Vettel is going to retire from. There is smoke billowing out of his car at the Chinese Grand Prix. And this Grand Prix, from the lead, he's retired. Hamilton's got by now as well. And sure, at the Chinese Grand Prix, Vettel, he was competing for 3rd, 4th. Here, he was leading, and leading comfortably. But now he's out. So it's Lewis Hamilton in 2nd, Kimi Raikkonen in 1st. So now suddenly now it's not a Ferrari 1-2, and suddenly Hamilton is back in contention for the race win. But we'll get back onto that later because, I mean, the main focus of this series is me. And also at the moment, Carlos Sainz, the guy who's racing me, he was right up behind me, but he's just come into the pit. So I'm in 4th place, but very temporary. I mean, I'm ahead of Max Verstappen. That is certainly temporary. However, you know that I stretch the super soft tyres longer than most. I also stretch the soft tyres longer than most, and longer than Romain Grosjean. And that's because I'm going to end the race on the soft tyres. Here's my plan. I was thinking if I could do just a couple of extra laps in the first 2 stints, I won't have to be on the mediums, and I can have the tyre advantage come the end. And if I can get out ahead of Carlos Sainz, but unfortunately I haven't. Sainz and Perez, let's not forget, they were on the super softs. They weren't going extremely quickly, but 2 sets of super softs, they had to fit on the mediums, and that's exactly what they've done. So, those guys, they've got track position, they've been able to get the undercut on me, not too surprising. But, I mean, hopefully, well, first things first, let's think about it. For the benefit of the team, we want Force India to score as many points as possible. So, if I was being really selfless, I would want Sergio Perez to pass Carlos Sainz, just for Force India's sake. And in fact, there you go. Mercedes, once again, I mean, honestly, this car without the Mercedes power unit, this car without the power advantage is nothing. Because the chassis in this game, the chassis on this car is not that brilliant, neither's the aerodynamics of downforce. That's the department I'm prioritising. And, you know, that engine is really saving us. But Romain Grosjean is directly behind. He's on the medium tyres. He wasn't quite able to do the same strategy as me. He's miles behind, several seconds behind as Romain Grosjean. Carlos Sainz, he's oh so close. What's that? I mean, about 2 seconds, just less than 2 seconds behind Carlos Sainz. It was agonising because I was catching up and catching up and catching up. But then once Carlos Sainz stopped having to worry about defending for Perez, his pace upped slightly, and also of course me on brand new softs and him on slightly more mediums, it meant I had a massive pace advantage. But of course the soft tyres degrade faster. The pace advantage I had lessened and lessened and lessened every single lap, so it meant that I just couldn't catch up to Carlos Sainz, never mind Sergio Perez. So I think Perez has beaten me at this Grand Prix, much like he did at the Australian Grand Prix, but of course I beat him at the previous one. And here we go. This is Kevin Magnussen getting past Grosjean. I mean, honestly, from Haas's point of view, this has been a strange Grand Prix. Grosjean was the main Haas driver. Well, it was Magnussen, then Magnussen had car issues. Now it's Grosjean, but no, then it was Grosjean, now it's Magnussen. It's been very confusing. And here we go, Kimi Raikkonen is leading the Grand Prix. He's on the mediums. However, Hamilton has had the same idea as me, which is going on the softs towards the end. However, he did super soft, medium, soft. I've done super soft, soft. So he's got a tyre advantage, but unfortunately, it just hasn't been enough. I mean, Raikkonen, by the time they came in for their final pit stop, Raikkonen had opened up a massive lead on Lewis Hamilton. So Hamilton, he may have the pace advantage, but unfortunately, the undercuts which Raikkonen had, plus the fact that the Ferrari was just a quicker car, just generally around this track, means that Hamilton just couldn't even remotely compete. Kimi Raikkonen has won the 2017 Bahrain Grand Prix. That's 2 race wins now this season for Kimi Raikkonen. And it's also been 2 retirements this season for Sebastian Vettel. So Ferrari, they really do need to sort out their 2 cars, because one's winning races and the other one can't even finish. Hamilton finished in 2nd, a good day for him. Bottas, I believe, finished in 3rd. Best of the rest, I believe, for Sergio Perez, once you take out both Red Bulls as well. It was Sergio Perez, then Carlos Sainz, then myself. And in fact, actually, it wasn't Valtteri Bottas who finished in 3rd, it was Max Verstappen. What a turn up for the books, Max Verstappen in 3rd. I'm actually slightly confused. I mean, I know that I recorded this race and edited it and now I'm commentating over it, but I'm actually quite embarrassed. I don't actually quite know how Verstappen finished in 3rd. I'm going to assume it's something to do with the strategy. Let's assume so. Either way, Max Verstappen finished in 3rd. He beat Valtteri Bottas. There you go. That's Ricciardo in 5th, Perez 6th, Sainz. Myself, Kevin Magnussen on the last lap, or the last couple of laps, just re-overtook Romain Grosjean. Obviously, the issue on Magnussen's car was fixed come the end of the Grand Prix. Hulkenberg had the puncture. He was the last of the finishers ahead of Van Dorn, who crashed into the side of Ricciardo, Kvyat and Vettel. Massa didn't do too badly. I think finished 12th and he had a stop-go penalty. In fact, we were very lucky with Massa having a stop-go penalty. Kimi Raikkonen has now got quite a sizable lead in the Drivers' Championship. Hamilton's in 2nd. Vettel's really going to need reliability to come his way to be able to compete for the championship, and Bottas is just going to need to up his pace. He didn't even get on the podium this Grand Prix. Constructors' Championship, not really much to say, to be honest. Ferrari are leading. Force India, we're still in 4th, and we're quite a way ahead of Williams. But Williams, they just keep running into issues, whether it be punctures for Stroll, a lack of pace for Stroll, crashes for Massa. They just keep running into issues. I mean, both Williams drivers took each other out. Lance Stroll tagged Massa at the start of this Grand Prix, so they really do need to get together, sit down and talk over their issues if they're going to want to beat us, because well, we got quite a sizable lead on them at the moment. But anyway, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode. If you did, please leave a like, comment down below, and next time it's the Russian Grand Prix around the Sochi Autodrome. So I'll see you then.